St. Paul, the Fan.
We're going to stand by.
North Carolina, raise up, take your shirt off, twist it around your head, spin it like a helicopter. South Carolina, raise up, this one's for you, this one's for who? Us. It's so hot, Atlanta. Raise up, take your shirt off, twist it around your head, spin it like a helicopter. State of Virginia, raise up, this one's for you, this one's for who? Us. It's so, who am I? Petey Pub, motherfucker. First, put it down for now.
Since all of you go to Vikings.com and watch Viking shows on TV and stuff like that by the second to none Vikings Entertainment Network, how about a round of applause for Gabe Henderson providing a lot of that content, stopping by the Friday football. Boy, they're super excited and animated. That's what a victory against San Francisco will do, and a border battle on the weekend, and Green Bay's on a 3-game losing streak, and the quarterback lost his swivel, and he just doesn't have a swivel. He and Justin Fields searching between couch cushions for their swivels. I mean, it's an exciting. Are you guys excited right now about Vikings football? I mean, we got people standing up. The team's 3-4.
This is the livest I've seen a football feast this year, and I've been at every single one. So.
Yeah.
To see this outcome, this is great. I love it.
Yeah, well, and you're right, but I mean, you also show up at 11, where the doors open at 8, right? Doors open like around 8 o'clock. You do the math on what the previous 3 hours have been like for a lot of those people. And good morning.
Good morning. It's kind of like being a dad and your daughter wakes you up to say, okay, let's get ready to go out and have some drinks. Mm-hmm. It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Why you got to go there?
And then 8 a.m. she's like, okay, I want to go back to sleep.
Why is your daughter getting hammered is what I want to know.
I know, she's not even one.
Right.
She's milk drunk.
Yeah.
She's milk drunk.
Okay, well, how much sleep last night?
6 hours.
You got 6?
I got 6
That's not
hours.
bad. We can work on that.
Parents, can I get a round of applause for Gabe Henderson, please?
6 is a win.
I mean,
That's
this is a
luxury.
win.
That's a luxury at this point.
Yes, and this is not Daddy of the Year type round of applause. It's just my man got some sleep, and sleep's been hard to find, and I love him. And good morning, Charge. Take it away.
We've talked about lots of different stuff, leading up to this, but one guy we haven't talked much about is Jordan Addison. Oddly, coming off the gigantic game here.
Yep.
He's been a factor in almost every game. The touchdown numbers are gaudy. This was the first game on Monday where they were really relying on him for volume.
Yep.
And that was the big change on Monday. Talk to me about where you think Jordan Addison is in his progression.
Well, Jordan Addison is approaching this game as he's wide receiver number 1. When you have your first 100-yard game, you have 2 touchdowns, and you do that in a fashion where it's on Monday Night Football, and literally the team changes. The Minnesota Vikings change their Twitter and Instagram profile picture to Jordan Addison.
Right.
So he is the guy, and I believe he should approach it that way. And with Jair Alexander not practicing yesterday for the Green Bay Packers, that makes Jordan Addison lick his chops a little bit more. Who's the other corner on PA? Why am I drawing a blank?
For who?
For the Green Bay Packers, number 29 with the dread.
Russell Douglas.
Yes. If you're Russell Douglas, you're basically saying we need to play some off man on Jordan Addison, and hopefully we get some safety help underneath. And if I'm Jordan Addison, you know that's going to be a field day. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. This is just confidence boosting for a guy, understanding that he has 2 more games without the best wide receiver in the game and Justin Jefferson. And from there, this offense becomes lethal at that point. But yeah, going into this game, J.A. is the guy.
Yeah, there's a couple of J.A.s. Jair Alexander is another J.A. that relates to this conversation.
Yep.
He was last year's, I believe, number 1 ranked cornerback by Pro Football Focus in coverage, dealing with back injury that's really limited him all season, practicing in limited fashion this week. Don't know if he's going to go or not.
He didn't practice yesterday.
He did not? Oh, didn't he? Okay, did on Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay, didn't yesterday. If he doesn't go, do you think there's a chance they just take Rasul Douglas, who's the best cornerback left standing on this battered group, and they just go, you're going to do some shadowing here on Addison and try to just take our chances that Douglas can contain him?
I mean, that's probably their best case scenario. What Jordan Addison put on film this past Monday, that's the best bet. If I'm the Packers, I'm basically saying let Kirk Cousins and T.J. Hockenson beat us.
Right.
If they beat us, then that means we played our game. We stopped the run, and we stopped Jordan Addison. If those 2 guys can be that lethal, then hey, kudos to those guys. So I'm hoping that those guys are healthy on the Green Bay Packers side, but at the same time, it is going to come down to this Minnesota Vikings team being able to spread the ball out. If you get Jordan Addison involved early, what does that mean for everybody else? We saw last week the Vikings got T.J. Hawkinson involved early.
They did.
Which ultimately opened up opportunities for Jordan Addison. So now the focus kind of changes. Do this to do that. Decoy here to make somebody make a play here. So maybe KJ Osborne has a big game this upcoming Sunday.
In a few weeks, we'll be talking about how defenses are going to stop Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and that will be a very fun conversation.
Yep.
Right now, let's talk about if they do decide to really lock down Addison, bracket coverage, whatever, KJ Osborne, Brandon Powell will have opportunities.
Yep.
Powell, at the end of last week's game, Kirk Cousins told Powell, you're getting open, you belong in this league, we're going to get the ball to you. Brandon Powell could be an X factor here.
For sure, and his speed alone puts pressure on the defense. He's a former running back turned wide receiver, so you know when he has the ball in his hands, he knows how to make a play. And for Kevin O'Connell, that's all he wants guys to do. Dude, I don't care how you catch the ball. As long as you make a play and make a guy miss, that's all that matters. So for Brandon Powell to be on Kirk Cousins' trust side or good side, that means a lot for this offense going forward. So I'm excited to see what that looks like in Lambeau. I believe Brandon Powell's first big breakout game was his rookie season in Green Bay. And he hasn't really had a big game since, and now he's starting to build some of that momentum, some of that confidence. I'm looking forward to seeing if we can kind of relive some of that history here at Lambeau on Sunday.
And he's getting a lot of routes. I looked it up. I know it's like 28 routes run, something like that. I mean, Powell's on the field. And, meaningful spots here.
And it's not like he's just running like decoy routes, like shallow crosses. Like he's running some deep crossing routes, some in, some out breaking routes, putting pressure on those cornerbacks to be able to provide opportunities for other people to make plays. Like I said, you have to respect Brandon Powell's speed. I believe if you look at the next gen stats, he was the fastest Viking this past game. I think he ran like 20 or 21 miles per hour.
That's fast.
So, I mean, the guy is, you have to respect that if you're a defending defensive coordinator. So I'm just hoping that he can continue that success. And Jordan Addison and KJ Osborne can make some plays due to Brandon Powell starting to make an emergence as of late.
Now, this is not a slight on KJ Osborne at all, but his usage, only the slight uptick with Justin Jefferson out and Kevin O'Connell saying he was going to run a lot of Jefferson's routes. We haven't seen a big spike in targets, receptions from KJ Osborne. He's a little bit up, and like an extra reception a game. That's about it. I haven't sensed a big. Jordan Addison's role changed a lot. Brandon Powell got on the field. That's a big change. KJ Osborne, kind of the same.
And it's kind of been, if I'm KJ Osborne, and I'm not speaking for KJ, but if I'm KJ, because PA asked this question the other week, is, if your number one receiver goes down and you expect to make plays and then the ball is still not coming to you, how do you feel? And as a wide receiver, wanting to get the ball, only knowing that you're going to run about 45 routes to get about 5 targets, you're going to be frustrated. So if I'm KJ, I'm probably frustrated, but still staying in the moment because you never know when that ball is going to come your way. So I'm hoping that uptick kind of reflects in the stat sheet this week, but still, we see KJ on blocking. We see him on the decoy routes, opening up opportunities for JA to get the ball. But yeah, KJ Osborne is still a valuable option in his offense, and yeah, it's just unfortunate we haven't seen it just yet.
That's Gabe Henderson from the Vikings Entertainment Network and Vikings.com. Gabe A. Henderson via Twitter if you would like to follow. And this is the final hour of the Friday Football Feast from Buffalo Wild Wings Maplewood, provided by Coors Light, the official beer sponsor of U.S. Bank Stadium. And also, if you're heading to a Friday Football Feast at Buffalo Wild Wings, or if you're heading to U.S. Bank Stadium, have a Coors Light on your mind and start your weekend early if you get the opportunity, and responsibly and legally, obviously. But it's all courtesy of Coors Light, and we thank them for year after year sponsorship.
I'd like you to weigh in on a conversation that we had with Alec about an hour ago about a possible transition happening at running back. We saw in the second half of last week's game, Madison's usage went way down, Cam's went way up. Madison touched the ball 3 times, Akers 6. And given that Madison has not really stood out in really any game so far this year, the opportunity may be there for Cam Akers.
Yeah.
How do you see this? How do you see this running back situation in terms of usage evolving?
I think similar to the way we saw it last week.
Yeah.
Alexander Madison is going to get the starting carries. He's going to be your bell cow until a guy, Cam Akers comes in and makes a splash play. Even Ty Chandler came in this past Monday and made a couple.
I loved it. I was so sad to have that play removed on penalty.
Yep.
Like, oh, that was a great play.
Right.
And it sort of doesn't count when the penalty happens.
Talking
right?
about that trick play.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it is still Alexander Madison's job to lose. And if you look at just the first half, I believe the Vikings will probably do so similar to where they did it last week. But, I mean, they're not blind. They saw the number of carries increase for Cam Akers and some of the production that happened with those increased carries. But at the same time, I believe you have to give Alexander Madison those starting carries, especially going against a team that is the second or third worst run defense in the NFL in the Green Bay Packers. If Alexander Madison can't get it done against them, and Cam Akers does, then maybe that's a different conversation we're having at Week 9. So we'll see how that works out. But I still think Deuce is the starting running back right now.
If the one angle that makes me think that Akers is going to get a lot more run here is the looming trade deadline. If you feel like the Alexander Madison we've seen through 7 games is not the production you want to have the rest of the year, and you're not sure if Cam Akers is or is not the solution, this is your last chance before the trade deadline to give Cam a bunch of carries and see if he sparks something differently than Alexander Madison does.
So are you saying trading Madison or trading Akers to get...
Neither. I'm saying acquiring a different running back.
Got it.
That's not happening.
Yeah, I mean...
because you traded for a running back already. And again, I just think it's being lost on that thought process a little bit. The money or lack thereof they have under the cap, like $8 million. May seem like a lot around here, which it is, but it's still 8. And Kwesi, you just know Kwesi and the group are trying to make it so in the offseason they don't have the 70, 80, or 90 that the Bears or the Jags have every year when they were terrible, but they have like 30, 40, 50 to go out and identify one guy and be like, we got this, come here, and they come. But secondly, the draft capital that is required to trade for somebody. Next year, we have a first, we have a second, we have no third, we have 2 fourths. So I'll just start right there. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I totally agree.
And if they trade for somebody, I'm completely wrong.
Well, you will probably be right because trades don't happen very often in this league. And that's why I target Ramondre Stevenson. Running backs are devalued. He probably costs you a 6th-round pick, something like that. And his deal is less than $1 million a year for 2 more years. Totally fit him under the cap. He doesn't cost you a lot of equity.
Okay. But then what do you do with the rest of the backs you have? I mean, because people can't on one hand out of one side of mouths say Ty Chandler needs more time, more rep.
This is me you're referring to.
Because of his speed, and I happen to agree. I'd like to see Ty get 5 chances a game for fresh legs in the fourth quarter with Cam and or Madison.
Me too.
You traded for Cam. Well, okay, there's that. You just re-signed Madison. It doesn't mean you're married to any of them. But, I mean, if you make a trade for a running back, I mean, then just what happens to all those scenarios?
I'm probably leaning more so of trading a running back than trading for a running back, just due to all of the volume of backs on your roster. And just being around a couple of organizations being in this league right at the trade deadline, I've seen teams give more players more reps or more opportunities right before the trade deadline to give them, to make their price tag a little bit more shiny. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, I will look at who's getting more reps, and then if that person's getting more reps, getting more yards, that makes them more valuable at the trade deadline. I'm not sure the Vikings are even going to, advertise or even entertain trading Alexander Madison or Cam Akers, but at the same time, it's just kind of tough.
I don't think any team really wants those guys. I mean, we acquired Cam Akers for literally the lowest price you can possibly pay in a trade.
Yep.
And so, I don't think there's really a trade market to send those guys out. Let me hit you with this if you're ready to change topics. Vikings have had back-to-back NFC Defensive Players of the Week awards. Mm-hmm. 1 year ago right now, we were mired in the Ed Donatel defense that was just, we were in a bad spot.
Yes.
Look at what Brian Flores has done now and where we are just 7 games later winning back-to-back Defensive Player of the Week awards.
I mean, Brian Flores is a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah, masquerading as a defensive coordinator.
I agree.
And I give Kevin O'Connell...
I'm worried we're going to lose him in the offseason.
But I give Kevin O'Connell the utmost respect for having the self-awareness of hiring someone of that caliber and then still not taking it personal when he has that kind of success.
I like that.
So for Kevin O'Connell to basically say, look, we know you're really good at your job. We know that this is going to be, a 1 or 2 or 3 year deal. We just want to get better. We just want to win the championship. That shows the humility on Kevin O'Connell's side. And for Brian Flores to come in with this mindset of basically saying, like, we're going to blitz the hell out of you. And whether you like it or not, if you beat us that way, cool. If you don't, cool. And the fact that the players are buying into that, I believe that is best case scenario for this Minnesota Vikings team. If you would have told me last year we would have had back-to-back Defensive Player of the Weeks a year from now, I would have probably told you, Charge, you're crazy and you need to stop smoking. So this is best case scenario for this Minnesota Vikings team, and I'm so excited for Jordan Hicks and Cam Bynum, who have been playing literally their best football of their career when it mattered most.
Cam is a really nice, under-the-radar success story as a player that took a while to get better, but started seeing increasing time and started making bigger and better plays. And now Cam Bynum, I mean, that's a really meaningful position that he's playing. And, with Metellus moving up, getting a lot of slot coverage, he is getting a lot of playing time. He's making the best of it. And you don't always have a lot of, every organization, you don't always have a lot of great success stories of a low round pick you develop into an every play starter. But that's what we're getting out of Cam Bynum.
And with Cam, with the record being 3-4, okay, and we watch all the games and we all talk about a lot of the same things that we've talked about through the first X amount of month and change, whatever the season. Turnovers, fumbles, pylon, Justin Watson, fumbling at the 2 against the Bucs, Caleb and Josh Palmer, whole thing. Okay, we've all just nauseatingly have had to think about it and talk about it so much. I'm just glad they've won 2 in a row and put together a complete game Monday night so we can have something different to talk about. Consider this off the Cam Bynum name. How about this, man? And I said this early in the week, so if people have heard it, I apologize. You're 3-4 with a potential Rookie of the Year at wide receiver with 6 touchdowns. Diggs didn't have one last night, did he?
Nope.
Okay, so he is tied for second behind Tyreek Hill, 1 from the lead. He's tied with Diggsy.
Yeah.
That's Addison, more than any rookie in the NFL. Christian Darrisaw, by the analytics, is the best left tackle in the National Football League. And according to some analytics, it's not close. So that can be argued he's the best left tackle in the NFL, which means you have top 3 to top 5 bookending tackle situation in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Cam Bynum leads all defensive backs in tackles. Harrison Phillips leads all defensive linemen in tackles. And you got Danielle Hunter, who leads the NFL in sacks. Oh, by the way, you got a quarterback who leads the NFL in touchdown passes thrown.
I mean,
are you kidding me with all this? 3-4? Come on, man.
You didn't even bring up JJ.
Oh, jeez. Right. Well, he hasn't played for a couple of weeks, so therefore, right. But what I'm saying is there's, as the kids, as they would say at Liberty. Well, they're starting to stack these things. Yeah, they're stacking them. Squad! They're starting to stack positives here.
Or the kids would say Kevin O'Connell's in his bag right now.
Well, he's in his bag.
He's in his bag.
Yeah, I mean, the Riz is off the charts. and I know, right? And he, and yeah, they're stacking.
And the fact that the Viking, I mean, just watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose last night, some of those losses earlier in the year are
they hurt, don't they?
They're becoming more and more frustrating. But I'm still excited about this Minnesota Vikings team. I believe Vikings fans should still remain optimistic because we are turning a corner. And this Packers game, I believe, is going to start a run for this Minnesota Vikings team. And there are going to be some tough games, but at the same time, these next 4 to 5 games on paper are very, very winnable. So hopefully the Vikings can pull these couple of wins, these next few wins off.
The things that are coming together right now is Brian Flores. We're learning that defense. He's learning the players.
Yeah.
They're assimilating the defense. That's all starting to click. And then the offensive line. It's all. Those are the 2 big things that we walked out of last year going, if only the offensive line was better. If only the defense would make some big plays. Now, we're seeing those 2 things come together. And so, at least basking in the afterglow of the Monday night game, Gabe, it feels like the Vikings are starting to be like a complete team.
Yeah, and it's scary because I don't want to get excited about it.
I know.
Yeah, it's like,
because we're 3-4.
I mean, that last Monday night was the most complete football game I've ever seen this Vikings team play since I've been an employee, and I've been here since 2020. And for the Vikings to be able to put that together, I'm like, holy smokes. Like, should we expect this? Like, is this something that we should get used to going forward?
Is it sustainable? Yeah.
And the way that they're doing it makes it seem like it is very sustainable. I mean, you have your best offensive player not playing right now. You have one of your best defensive players in Marcus Davenport not playing right now. So
good point.
You can only imagine when those guys get back in. I mean, it's kind of plug and play. You only get better at that point. So I'm just hopeful that these guys can stay healthy and we can continue to pull off some of these wins because it is very, very exciting if you're a Vikings fan right now.
Have you done any looking back at Jordan Love's season to this point?
Not enough to come up with an opinion outside of he hates pressure and he doesn't trust his O-line. And when you have receivers that, I wouldn't say are dropping balls, but that are in and out and don't understand, this new look offense, that makes it very, very difficult for a quarterback. So I can't say Jordan Love is a good quarterback or a bad quarterback just yet simply because of the people around him, but he's not Aaron Rodgers.
He's a very inconsistent quarterback.
Correct.
And he's got the arm talent is really good. Like just arm talent alone, top half of the league arm talent, and he's going to make some plays and some throws that you are going to go, damn, that was awesome. And then you're going to see the other side come where he's very slow to process in the pocket.
How much does he move?
He's
how much does he run around?
Very underrated. That dude's got real mobility.
So, does LaFleur design boots for him or run pass option deals or what?
No, not Justin Fields type stuff.
Okay.
It's more so of like what's the guy's name from Buffalo? Josh Allen type stuff. Get out the pocket.
Oh yeah.
Maybe throw it on the run and then make a play with your feet. But nothing.
He will get. They'll do a couple of designed runs a game with him, but not Justin Fields, but a couple. And he is the mobility is a real thing. They're going to have to do some shadowing, and the Vikings have faced a bunch of mobile quarterbacks already, and we know a lot of what that approach is going to be, and the Vikings have been pretty successful at it. And so I do believe we'll see Ivan Pace, following him a little bit, making sure that he doesn't break out because he can extend plays and he can pick up first downs with his legs.
Yeah, and just to your point that you just made, the fact that the Vikings had those tough tests in the beginning with the Justin Herberts, the Patrick Mahomes, the Jalen Hurts of the world, I believe that's the reason why the Vikings are more prepared to face Jordan Love because you've seen this type of quarterback at a higher level, a more elite level so many times this year that it makes you more confident going against him. So I'm not sure if Brian Flores is going to blitz, 81%, but I can put any kind of money he's going to put pressure on that offensive line and make Jordan Love throw some errant throws that makes him second guess when it comes to sitting on the sideline and looking at that play sheet and be like, damn, I shouldn't have threw it there. Harrison Smith, pick six, another one today. So we'll see how that works out.
You're elite. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Pierre.
See you on the bus tomorrow or at practice today. Hey, Gabe Henderson, ladies and gentlemen. Gabe Henderson, Gabe A. Henderson via Twitter, Vikings.com, Vikings Entertainment Network. We have Vikes Bites around the corner, orchestrated by Nordo from the 651 Carpets Plus Studios. Then after that, some fantasy feasting, and our final thoughts on Vikings and Green Bay. First, back to the studio, Cash Bang.
The Fan, along with two men in a junk truck, they want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword credit. You might win $1,000. KFAN.
On the Fan. Vikes Bites.
Bites presented by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply in Minnetonka. NorthernFireBBQ.com. Stop by on a Friday. Pick up a rub or a sauce. Check out their grills and smokers. They got these badass pizza ovens. It's all available in Minnetonka. Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. I want to start here. I saw a piece in Zone Coverage, gentlemen, talking about Flores' defense. And as much as you could look at some young players, the undrafted cat and Ivan Pace, etc., it's really been the veterans who have flourished the most. Where Cam Bynum, Pro Football Focus's fourth best safety. Harrison Smith had a single pass rush attempt a year ago at this point. 40 in 2023 so far.
Oh, God, do I love that. That's so awesome.
Absolutely. We know about Daniil's 9 sacks, and Jordan Hicks might be the most glaring from the different look that he's offering this year in the production. So the veterans stepping up in this defense, probably the big talker when you're looking at what Flores has brought to this team.
And if you want to encapsulate the difference between Ed Donatel and Brian Flores in one stat, that's got to be the stat. I mean, talk about wasting a talent when you blitzed Harrison Smith one time in a season. Oh, unbelievable. And, I guess you could make a case that had this draft been a better defensive draft for the Vikings, maybe more players to be on it, but I just love that he's getting great reps. Flores is getting great reps out of the veterans that he had. Yeah. I like the fact that players like Cam Bynum were ready to step up and have a bigger and different and more impactful role. I think that says plenty.
Vikes Bites.
Hey, Charch, if you can tell me into the border battle this weekend, the bigger issue with the Packers offense, the lack of consistency with Jordan Love, minimal progression for the QBs thus far, or the lack of consistency or explosion or production in the run game with the banged-up Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon tandem?
It's the run game problem. I really believe Aaron Jones is a special back and one of the best pass-catching backs. He can do all kinds of running. He's hammered the Vikings. I mean, Viking fans know how good Aaron Jones is. They needed a lot of balance to come from the running game so that their young quarterback wouldn't have to carry the burden of making all the throws, propelling an offense, and they've put Jordan Love into a spot where he has to be most of this offense. A.J. Dillon has not been good enough to carry it either, and I really believe the plan going in should have been and probably was put Aaron Jones on a big season, a lot of workload. He's highly compensated, and not have to force Jordan Love to make many throws. And it just hasn't worked out that way because of the hamstring injury. They sat out Aaron Jones for a little while, brought him back, got hurt again, had him sit. They've brought him back slowly with these low-volume games and nothing coming out of that running game. Packer fans would point at the injuries on the offensive line, to which I would say,
well, the Bakhtiari injury has been massive.
Okay, and
but you know what? David was like 85% of what he used to be because of injury.
Well, and the other thing is, they knew this was a very real prospect of happening. This wasn't a surprise injury.
Yeah.
So why didn't they reinforce that spot more?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair criticism. And if you're really going to go and attack and blame the Packers' offensive line, talk to me about what C.J. Stroud has done in basically the same number of NFL starts with 8 offensive linemen on the injured reserve. C.J. Stroud is flourishing in that spot. So I'm not listening to that as a viable excuse for the inconsistent play of Jordan Love.
Vikes Bites, presented by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. Hold on here, let me learn how to talk.
All right, 3-2.
If Ezra Cleveland is healthy and able to play, he's been limited both days of practice. We'll see how it looks later today. If he's able to play and he's healthy, does he start on Sunday or does Dalton Reisner stay in that spot?
Ooh, that's a juicy one.
Well, I mean, if he's limited in practice, then he's not healthy. So then the answer is no.
I'll go one step further and say.
Well, hold on. What if he's a full participant today then?
Then that would. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm more into the totality of the week. Like, did he get completely healthy off whatever the malady was? So my answer would be, with the current situation, limited, and to know the word limited. It's different for each team. For some, it's just my man on the Mike Hughes Memorial Field stretching. Well, he was out there, so now you have to report he's limited because he was out there.
Yeah.
No, you really do, because, I mean,
Yeah.
there are so many
Mike
things
Hughes
popping.
Memorial.
There are so many things popping up with people being like, yeah, I was there for 2 years, and they listed Charchi as D and P, did not practice 18 times. He was out there on the Memorial Field stretching. What's technically per the rules makes him limited.
Yeah.
I guess I'd be shocked if it wasn't Reisner's job this week. And then if the best offensive line performance they've had since when just took place. Reisner was part of it. They had one of their biggest. It was Kevin O'Connell's signature win per you last week, and you're dead right. And Reisner was part of it.
Yeah.
Well, and then they beat Green Bay this weekend and say it looks good again, and Reisner's part of it. Well, the bet's settled.
Yeah, absolutely. Final thing for you guys here, Vikes Bites style. Should we just, in the name of history, just start rooting for the Vikings to not score a rushing touchdown this year, beating the 95 Jets and the 05 Cardinals with the fewest number of rushing TDs in NFL history in a season? They were tied with 2. Maybe we should just root for the Vikings to throw inside the 5 every time, no more tush push, and set a record while we go on a fat win streak.
Right, and the tush push. Yeah, that would have counted as a rushing touchdown.
It would have technically.
Bastard as it would have been.
Yes.
Well, they couldn't even get in that way. We're still sitting there at 0, man. Damn.
You know what? Let's not tush push Kirk ever again. That's just not his core competency. And let's find another way to score touchdowns.
O'Connell boxed me up on that a little bit Tuesday on X's and O's.
Ooh, all right.
Where I'm like, I can't remember how I phrased it, but. He's like, well, actually, we had done it 4 times earlier in the year, something like that, and it worked every time. But he may have been referencing the sneak.
Yeah, right.
Which is the same thing.
Well, kind of.
Well, it's in the same fishbowl, right?
It's in the same fishbowl.
And the rocks are next to each other, right?
I think the key difference between a sneak and the tush push or the 2-cheek sneak or whatever is, I like that better.
Who made it up?
Don't know, but I like that one.
Yeah, I don't. I'll steal it if it's yours.
It's not mine, but it's not patented anybody else either.
Out.
So you can take it if you want.
No, it's out.
It's whether you got those you got like 2 or 3 players behind the quarterback, who are then pushing the quarterback forward.
Yeah,
it's a key difference between a traditional sneak.
That's true.
And this.
Yeah. So
but
what you're saying is the head coach lied to me.
Yes. Right. That is what
I take back everything he said about making sure Drake Greenlaw can run.
He's a head coach. The first thing they do before they will hire a head coach, you have to take a polygraph. And if you pass the polygraph, you're out. We don't even want you.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Do we have a final vizzle?
No, that's it. Vikes Bites, NorthernFireBBQ.com.
And when we return, some fantasy football conversation in truncated fashion, and our final thoughts on the border battle from Buffalo Wild Wings Maplewood. You know it. It is the Friday football. Minnesota cannot get rid of it.
In the Fan.
Final segment, 9 to noon, brought to you by Casey's. Casey's here for good. And by the way, I'm doing this today, and you should do it too. You can get a jack-o'-lantern pizza for your kids for $13.99 and going on right now as well. So check out the jack-o'-lantern pizza. You can also buy 1 large pizza and get 50% off. Promo code is BOGO. It's all at Casey's. Love Casey's. Casey's here for good.
Deep stretch of the Friday football feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Maplewood. We're at Elk River, I believe, next week. We're at Elk River, I guess, because Duluth and Fargo weren't available. Paul Charchi, and let's close here. Give me from a fantasy football standpoint, give me your, if possible, because I didn't tell you this was coming.
Okay.
But you have your super special rankings, so I'm sure you can do it this way. Prioritize the 5 best fantasy players in the Vikings and Packers game. Prioritize your top 5 players and start at 5 and go down to 1, and good morning.
All right. That's a very specific request.
Thank you.
I think number 5 would come in as Romeo Doubs in this game.
Okay.
He's emerged as the go-to receiver in this offense, and he's a legitimately good player, Paul.
Like it.
Only reliable Packers receiver, leads the team in every receiving category, runs from the outside. He'll be matching up with the Caleb Evans. Some Byron Murphy. They move Murphy around. There's not. Give Brian Flores credit with this too. There's not a spot on the field you go, well, that's where Byron Murphy's going to be. And Byron Murphy's had his struggles, and I think they hide him just a little bit.
Okay.
So Romeo Doubs.
Yeah, give me let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because we only have 90 seconds left.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to go 4 on KJ Osborne.
Wow.
I'm going to go 3 on Jordan Addison. Obviously red hot with the 4 touchdowns in the past 3 games. And, a lot of favorable matchups if Jair Alexander doesn't go. Number 2 is going to be Kirk Cousins. Your completions and touchdowns.
You're going to make TJ 1?
And number 1 is TJ Hawkinson as
Tell me
the
why.
best fantasy play.
Yeah, tell me why.
Well, Hawkinson has got obviously focal point of the most reliable of the Vikings receivers with Justin Jefferson out. The big uptick in volume in the 2 games without Justin Jefferson, and the Packers have struggled against tight ends throughout the course of the season. Hawkinson's been super reliable, even with the things that bother us, drops, contested control. It doesn't matter for fantasy.
I got you.
He's been a pretty.
He hasn't scored in a month and a half, so it'd be nice if he was able to score this.
Here.
Hey, nice job, man. That was fun.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much. God bless all of you. Thank you very much for coming to Buffalo Wild Wings. Nordo produces. Jared Wells, ladies and gentlemen, the street team. Paul Charchian, and I'm Paul Allen. Talk to you this weekend from Lambeau Field, where it's 3 in a row, 4 KO, 3 in a row, 4 KO, 3 in a row, 4 KO. Bye.
9 to noon.
You like that? You like that? If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast to back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app